Saturday, January 10th. My name is Becky, and I am from Northern Michigan. Just wanted to hop on here for a few minutes, you guys, and just kind of have a brief discussion about our health. A little bit about me and my background. Maybe you'll notice on the bottom of the screen some different health issues that perhaps maybe you're dealing with. And so I wanted to hop on here and just kind of share my story and share what I've done to reclaim my health. And I want to help encourage you to make 2026 the year of solutions. Instead of New Year's resolutions that we all make, I want to encourage you to let 2026 be the year of solutions, right? Let's do something that's going to reclaim our health. We'll take back control of our health. And that starts with getting to the root cause of these health issues. And so a little bit of background on myself. Like I said, I'm Becky from Northern Michigan. I am a mother of six and a grandmother of six. And 7 years ago, my health journey really started because I was diagnosed with uterine cancer. And I decided that I was going to start doing some research, and everything that I had learned up until that point, or thought that I was doing right up to that point. I mean, at this time, I hadn't been diagnosed with anything. I wasn't being medicated with anything. I was just simply diagnosed with cancer, in my opinion, out of the blue. And so I decided to go home and do some research. For 4 years. I did research, right? I've read books and I've listened to podcasts, and I've got on PubMed and I read medical articles and medical journals. And so for 4 years, I started this research section for myself, and decided that I was going to take control of my health. So for 4 years, I did research, and a majority of the research that I learned and that I gained over those 4 years really kind of led me to the fact that food is a huge contributing factor to our health. And so everything just kind of pointed back to our food. And so I talk about our food a lot because it's the one factor in our day-to-day life that we can control. We can determine what happens. And so if we're being told that we should be consuming or eating several small meals a day, if we're being told to start with breakfast because it's the most important meal of the day, but our food is so toxic to our system and we are just overloading our bodies with carbohydrates and refined processed foods and sugar, and we have to learn how to do different, right? Because if you look at the statistics for diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, weight issues, all of these statistics just continually rise year after year after year. And we don't ever see a reduction in these statistics. We just see an increase. And so obviously we're hitting the mark somewhere. And so I just wanted to hop on here for a few minutes today and just kind of share what I've learned along the way. 3 years ago, I did come across a nutraceutical. It's something that I chose to do, so I will touch on that a little bit near the end. But it's definitely had a huge impact in my life. And so I want to go ahead and get started, you guys, and just kind of show you what I'm talking about. Perhaps there's something on this list that you're struggling with. Maybe you've never heard of the word insulin resistance. Maybe you have no idea if you're insulin resistant or not. Maybe you have an A1C number that's starting to climb and you're maybe in the prediabetes range. And if you don't do something now, you're going to be a type 2 diabetic. So I wanted to just kind of show this picture here for a few minutes because there's so many people, you guys. 93% of our population here in the United States is something called metabolically unhealthy. And everything that I have listed here in these pictures is a metabolic health issue. So maybe you might be looking at this and you're saying, man, I have several of those things on this list. Well, welcome to the club. There's very few, small percentage, 7% of our population doesn't have anything on this list. It's a very small percentage of our country, which is really sad in my opinion. I spoke to a family not that long ago and found out that they have a 10-year-old child that has liver disease, fatty liver disease. So obviously the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. A third of our country, just about a third of our country, suffers from non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And to me, that's just a very, very sad statistic, because according to Dr. Ben Bickman, he is a metabolic health scientist who specializes in insulin resistance, has said that fatty liver disease is one of the easiest and quickest to reverse. Once you understand the root of today's health struggles, and that root cause is insulin resistance. Once you can understand what that is and what that means, you can really take back control of your health. So I wanted to leave this on here for a minute, just to show you guys, if there's anything on this list that you're struggling with, you might want to stick around and listen to this recording, because it might have an impact and be able to be what you've been looking for. So why are we in such a bad state today? I happen to believe that a lot of it has to do with our food, right? The modern diet dilemma. We get up in the morning and we start with breakfast, and then we have a snack. We end up having lunch and then an afternoon snack. And then we have, or two, some people have a couple of afternoon snacks to tide them over, because it's been a couple hours since lunch, but now it's going to be a couple more hours until dinner. So I'll have another snack. And then we have dinner, and then there's a bedtime snack. You guys, we're just grazing all day long. Right? We aren't cattle. We weren't meant to eat and graze all day long. And I do know a lot of diabetes educators that tell their patients that they should be consuming this constant eating pattern in an effort to control their blood sugar levels. You guys, but they really couldn't be further from the truth. It's not regulating blood sugars in the form of what you would think that would control diabetes, right? It's definitely controlling your blood sugar levels, and the fact that you're not going to have too high highs and too low lows, because you're just constantly you're on this roller coaster where you're constantly going up and down, up and down, up and down, without spikes and crashes, because you're constantly feeding it, and as it comes down, you feed it again. And so it's really not a way to regulate blood sugars. What if we just weren't eating the foods that was causing us to have these blood sugar spikes and crashes throughout the day? Anyway, what would help us to not have these blood sugar spikes and crashes? Fiber has been proven actually to control blood sugar spikes. And so when they start removing fiber out of our foods, we are ending up with this modern diet dilemma. I mean, take the apple, for example. Once you peel that apple and you juice that apple, you end up with a glass of orange apple juice, right? We're told apple juice is good for us. There's lots of vitamins and minerals in apple juice. You guys, it's just apple flavored sugar water. You've removed the fiber that was going to have an impact on your blood sugar spikes. And so now your blood sugar is really going to spike, but then it's really going to crash afterwards. Same thing with our rice. And you can have, instead of the rice, you could put there, wheat, flour, pasta, bread, whatever you want to. When you remove the fiber from these grains, especially, and I know just recently the food pyramid was just flipped upside down. Thank you, Robert Kennedy. But it used to be, right, just now, last week, it used to be that 7 to 11 servings of whole grains is what we should be consuming on a day-to-day basis. Daily, 7 to 11 servings of whole grains. You guys, this is a great picture example of that right here. They remove the fiber from these whole grains. You're not getting the whole grain. If you were to eat the whole grain, you'd be going out to the field and picking the oat and the wheat and the barley and just chewing on that stalk. That would be the whole grain. When they remove the fiber during processing, it gets so ground up and so refined, we end up with a product with very high carbohydrate count and very low fiber count. And so this herein lies part of the problem. So what else is fiber good for? As a matter of fact, fiber happens to be really good at curbing your appetite, happens to be a good appetite suppressant. It aids in reducing the amount of dietary cholesterol that is absorbed into the bloodstream. That's what fiber helps us with. Fiber helps to reduce the carbohydrate absorption in the body as well. This is why you don't have the carb spikes when you have fiber in your meal the way it would have otherwise. It helps to support normal, healthy blood glucose levels. It helps to support healthy weight management, and also supports the time-based eating and other intermittent fasting methods, because it keeps you satiated. It keeps you feeling full for longer. There was actually a study that was done. It also feeds the gut microbiome. You'll see in this picture over here, it feeds the gut microbiome, right? The microbiome, that's your control center. All disease starts in the gut, according to Hippocrates, who said that centuries ago. All disease starts in the gut. So when you remove the fiber, your microbiome becomes a real mess. So when we put the fiber back into our foods, it feeds the gut microbiome. It helps with IBS. It helps with constipation, diarrhea, skin issues, anxiety and depression. How many people are on anxiety and depression meds these days, right? Not only that, but there was a study that was done. If you look at this graph right here, you'll see that there was a study done by the University of Sydney. Now, this is kind of important, you guys, because the University of Sydney out of Australia, they came up with the glycemic index. So, in my opinion, they would probably be the experts on how food affects your blood sugar levels. And so they actually studied this fiber that is part of this fiber and fasting protocol called Balance in the States. It might be called something different where you're at, but when they studied this fiber, they were able to prove that it controls your blood sugar levels and reduces the blood sugar spike by upwards of 40%. That should be a big deal to diabetics. You can eat the foods that you were going to eat anyway, but your blood sugar spike is going to be reduced by upwards of 40%. That's kind of a big deal. Not only that, but there's 7 different types of plant fibers in that balance. And it becomes, there's viscous fibers, and it becomes gelatinous, and it coats your stomach. It coats your food. You'll notice down there in the picture by the tangerines and the oranges, it's a citrus flavored. It's a natural orange flavored. You'll see that it's kind of coating the spoon in that picture, right? That's what it does to your food. This is why it can absorb some of the dietary cholesterol and absorb some of the carbohydrates. It soaks and coats that food. It coats your stomach. It absorbs some of those carbs and cholesterol. It helps to fuel you up. It slows down digestion, so your blood sugar comes down at a normal pace rather than a crash. Not only that, but on the bottom of the picture, you'll see the Cleveland Clinic. I've got it highlighted in blue there. You'll notice that the Cleveland Clinic also studied this fiber, and their concluding statement said that such a product, and they're talking about this fiber blend, this balance, such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis. Anybody can drink this balance, and potentially decrease the need or dose of lipid-lowering prescription drugs. That's statins, you guys. Statins are the #1 prescribed medication in this country. Do you know, if you're on a statin, do you know what the possible side effects are of those statins? Do you know? Have you looked it up yourself? Because I can almost guarantee your doctor didn't tell you all of the possible side effects, possible adverse reactions, boxed warnings, any contraindications. They just gave you the script and said, take this to the pharmacy and get it filled, right? Do you know what the side effects could be of that statin? Did you realize, were you made aware that there is a plant-based system that does the same thing naturally? I mean, that's what the Cleveland Clinic study says. It says that it could potentially decrease the need for and or the dosage of lipid-lowering prescription drugs. If you're on a statin, you need to know that. Your doctor can prescribe that fiber blend to you instead of the statin. Now, the other part of this fiber and fasting protocol is then, of course, the fasting part. Is fasting that important? What happens when we fast? There's so much information out there that contradicts each other as far as whether or not fasting is good for you. Dr. Jason Fung wrote a book called The Diabetes Code. He is a nephrologist out of Toronto, Canada, and he says, he wrote a book about his experience where he had patients in his clinic practice a time-based eating pattern, and his type 2 diabetics reversed their type 2 diabetes because they followed a time-based eating pattern. Do you know what happens when you fast? Do you realize that if you fast long enough, your body could actually get to the point of autophagy? Your body would actually create new stem cells if it reached that point. The problem is we don't ever get to that point because we're eating all day long. Breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner snack, bedtime snack. You guys, it's ridiculous. We don't allow our body to get to the point where we're fasting and using stored fuel for our energy. Instead, we're just constantly using food, the fuel from our food, all day long for energy. There's a lot of benefits to fasting, you guys. It helps to support feelings of well-being. It increases your mood. It supports healthy cognitive processes because when you fast, your body is going to release some of the stored energy. Some of that converts to ketones, and your brain cells would rather function on ketones versus glucose. And if your brain cells are insulin resistant because we've been feeding it glucose several times a day, day after day after day for weeks, months, and years, you end up with Alzheimer's, which we're calling type 3 diabetes today, dementia, Parkinson's, anxiety, depression. So when you learn how to fast, go through a time-based eating pattern, it supports healthy cognitive processes. You can start to think clearly. And this Unamate drink that you see over here in the corner, that helps increase that insulin sensitivity. It helps to reverse the insulin resistance. Fasting also helps to maintain endurance and the fasting drink, this mate, helps to maintain endurance and stamina. It gives you energy back. It helps you to focus. It gives you mental clarity. It also produces and promotes satiety because this chart over here, this graph, you'll see that when you're fasting and drinking this Unamate, you're producing a hormone called GLP-1. And this study right here to the side will show you that when you're fasting and drinking this mate, it actually helps the body naturally produce up to 67% more GLP-1. You guys, that means there is no need for the Ozempic jab. That's a synthetic GLP-1. It's mimicking and acting like your hormone GLP-1. What if your hormone could function properly the way it's designed to do, but then even more so, up to 67% more when you're fasting and drinking the mate? Okay, so it helps with that. It helps to support weight management efforts because it keeps you satiated. That actually regulates your blood sugar levels. It turns off the food noise so you're not constantly thinking about that next meal, that next snack. It turns off the food noise. So of course that's going to help with weight management. And then finally, it also promotes the body's ketone production because instead of using food for fuel, you're using stored fat for fuel. So this system works in two ways. There's two products. I showed you the fiber earlier, and then I showed you the fasting or the yerba mate tea. So we drink this, two products. That's it. The fiber, you're going to drink that before your dinner, before your meal. I drink it before my dinner because that's when I consume the most carbohydrates. So I drink that before my dinner. And then the Unamate, that's what you're sipping on when you're not eating. So once before you eat, and the other one is when you're not eating. So I start this first thing in the morning. See, over here on this chart, you'll notice that the breakfast, when you get up in the morning, and Kellogg's has us indoctrinated into believing that we need breakfast because it's the most important meal of the day. What if you tapped into the stored body fat on your body and allowed that to provide you with the fuel? When you're in that fasted mode, you guys, by the time you've slept through the night and you got up in the morning, your body is in fat burning mode. And when you drink this Unamate in that fat burning mode, it's like it ramps up. It burns more energy. You're tapping into the stored fat cells and using some of this is why it helps with weight management, right? And then just before lunch, you can choose to take the balance then if you want to. I don't typically have a heavy carbohydrate lunch, so I don't drink the balance. I'll eat my lunch. Sometimes it's a very tuna salad, maybe in a lettuce wrap, maybe a salad, maybe some eggs and bacon at that point in time. If you're a breakfast fan and you love your eggs and bacon, great. You can have that for breakfast. Just wait a few extra hours before you eat it. Protein and fats, you guys, have them together, right? That's how they come in nature. Prioritize protein. It's your building blocks. Fuel with fat. It's your energy source. Limit and control your carbohydrates because there aren't any essential carbohydrates necessary to sustain life. It's an energy source, absolutely, but so is the stored fat on your body. So use that as an energy source. And when you use these two drinks, that's going to be an all-natural plant-based system that's coming in. It's like an easy button. You can use these two products. The company, and then so then you drink a second Unimate in the afternoon. You have a balance just before you have your dinner because you're going to have a lot of carbohydrates in your dinner. What if you have Taco Tuesdays? What if you get together with your friends and have pizza and beer on Friday night? Just taking this fiber before that meal, you're still going to have a blood sugar spike, but it's going to be reduced by upwards of 40% by having fiber first. You guys introduce the fiber back into your meal. Start drinking this Unimate. Produce more ketones, produce more GLP-1, turn off the food noise, and you guys are going to be amazed at what that does. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I just want to let you guys know that the company is so sure that you will see measurable results, that it comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Let me see here. This is what I'm talking about right here, guys. If you're interested, this comes in a 1-month supply. You can find this product on Amazon, some of these other third parties, but there's no 90-day money-back guarantee. There's no guarantee that it's not been tampered with. There's no guarantee that there's not been, you're not going to get an expired product. So I have this QR code right here. You're actually ordering it through the manufacturer, not myself. You're ordering it through the manufacturer, but because you're going to use this QR code, you're going to get a $75 discount on that. Typically $235, you'll get it for $159. You get me for your health coach. I'm going to make sure that you're successful on this program, but the company is so sure that you're going to get results that they tell you to take it for 90 days. If you are not completely satisfied, then you can get your money back after 90 days. So let me see. I'm going to see if I can invite somebody on here to I'm going to see if I can invite somebody on here to tell their story. I don't know if this is going to Sarah, I see your message, so I'm going to see if I can't send it to you somehow. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So I just sent that to my friend Sarah. We'll see if she can come on here and share her story. I think that you guys will be interested in hearing her story. And we're actually going to try to, we're just going to practice a little bit. If I can get her to come on here. If I can get her to join us, she's going to tell us her story. Plus, we're going to just kind of, this will be the first time that I'm going to have a guest come on and try to share their channels as well. So we'll wait for just a second to see if she can hop on here. If not, that's okay. We'll go ahead and end this here soon. If you guys have any questions for me, please type it in the comments. I want to be able to answer your questions. 90-day money back guarantee. You guys, here's something else that's pretty important to understand. Your doctor, when they prescribe you medications, your doctor will use a reference called the physician's desk reference. That's what it used to be called. It was a big book form, a book form in every doctor's office across the United States. Well, today's day and age, because everything's digital, it's now referred to as the prescriber's digital reference. If you're familiar with what the physician's desk reference is, maybe you work in healthcare and you know what the prescriber's digital reference is, you guys, this is where doctors can go to see if you're already on one medication and they want to prescribe you another. They have to look in that resource to make sure that there's not going to be any contraindications. In other words, how one medication may affect the other medication. That's called a contraindication. Well, this is a plant-based system, so there are no contraindications. So your doctor can look that up in the PDR. So if you're on a medication, I want to challenge you, go to the pdr.net and look up yourself. P like Peter, D like David, R like Robert, .net, pdr.net. If you're on a medication, I challenge you, go type that medication into that resource and see for yourself the possible side effects, the possible adverse reactions, the possible box warnings and contraindications. And then know that this system right here is also in that physician's desk reference. You can go and look this up. Your doctor should be prescribing you this plant-based nutraceutical. For something to be labeled a nutraceutical, it has to work like pharmaceuticals, but be all natural, plant-based, and have clinical studies done on it. You guys, we have over 20 clinical studies on this program. 5 patents. Nobody would be able to copy this. The fiber's been around for 30 years. And your doctor probably doesn't know about it because it's a nutraceutical. A pharmaceutical rep is not going to come around and talk to your doctor about this. This is one of the reasons why I get online and I share this and I use these platforms for this purpose like this, because it's the only way that some people are going to hear about this. It breaks down to be $5 a day, guys. What if you could potentially come off of your statins? What if you could come off of your metformin? What if you could come off of your blood pressure medications? What if you could come off of, right? What if you didn't need Tylenol or Advil or acetaminophen or ibuprofen every day for daily headaches like I used to? I don't have daily headaches anymore. I got rid of the inflammation. I don't have brain fog anymore. I don't have restless leg syndrome anymore. So if that's you and you would like to get more information, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message. Click on the link right here. It breaks down to be $5 a day. You can't go wrong. There's nothing else out there that's going to allow you to get control of your health and make 2026 the year of solutions like this product, like this protocol, and cost you $5.30 a day with a 90-day money-back guarantee. All right, I don't know, maybe perhaps I sent her the wrong link or not. So if that's the case, we'll have to try it again next time. Sarah, I don't know if you're watching or not. If that's the case, I apologize. I don't know if I sent you the wrong one or not. But I'm going to go ahead and end this now, and then we'll go ahead and try again another time. Again, you guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. This is going to be saved on my Facebook for 30 days. It should be streaming to my YouTube as well. So if you guys have any questions and you're watching this as a recording, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message. I'd love to talk to you. All right, you guys have a great day.